Zico, Sid, what about you guys? Quick, since it's starting.
I'm going with hamsters.
Okay.
Come on, man. You want to go with the Destro Dream? I had enough of Destro from Battle for Azeroth. I don't want it. I'm going with Hamsters and Hares.
All right, we're going to find out shortly. You disagree, Ben?
You've had enough of Destros, but the Fire Mage Paladin, you're going to be going with them?
Dude,
Oh, that's true. I have to pick between two evils. This isn't fair. I don't have a good choice.
I set you up for failure. Is that what it is?
Okay, so what we have to do is ignore the Paladins, ignore the Mage and the Warlock, and then you just have to choose. What do you like more, Feral Druids or Warriors?
Still hard.
Yeah, like what?
There's some sort of math
equation
choice there. We can figure it out.
Alright, well, they're going to start immediately on the Warrior here, but Roasties doesn't seem to care, going right after the Warlock. How is Nazem going to be able to avoid the Warrior pressure and get damage out amidst this? He's caught in a Spirit Bastion Meteor. Beautiful combo here by Hamsters and Hares, and they immediately net a powerful cooldown from the Ron Paul, almost immediately.
Yeah, that was a pretty explosive start here onto Nazem. And we'll see, though. He's reversing the pressure. Big Chaos Bolts. Rossi, he's been forced. He's actually in a Cyclone. Beautiful crowd control. Can they get anything onto Zach? And up here, big Chaos Bolt lands once again. Rossi is going to be okay. Zach forced to trade up the Trinket Sacrifice. I mean, look, there's no Commanding Shout. There's no Dive of the Sword. Trinket Sacrifice is now gone. FLP, although they're a little bit behind in that opener, they're managing to turn it around. Nazem just has to survive a little bit longer. Ron Paul into a full Blinding Light, but good peels coming in from Zev. Cyclone on floor mat, stun onto Roasties, and Nazem should be able to hold on. I mean, FLP definitely has some good momentum in this one.
Yeah, so far both teams really firing on all cylinders here in the opening stages. Let's see who can get that next hit. The Ron Paul gets the full repentance here. Roasties tanks one Chaos Ball to the face. And this could actually be it here. The Mortal Coil comes out. There's the Fear to follow it up. Shadow Fury as well. Big damage here. Roasties, he's just going to flop here. And the Ron Paul makes a statement, and he stays true to his word here.
Okay,
stop smiling, Ben.
It's true. He's standing there smiling. Are you proud of yourself, Ben?
No, I'm proud of FLP, honestly. Just coming in, 3 players. Do they have a 4th player this week? I don't want to...
Sure.
Yeah. 3 players with a dream, the Destro Dream. And honestly, they did a great job with their crowd control this game. And their setups were actually really scary here for Hamsters and Hares. I feel like in the last time we saw these two teams meet, they went after floor mat a lot more in the matchup, or they went after the Mage. When they last played against the Warrior Mage Paladin. Against this, though, just getting nice setups here on Roasties. They managed to get basically all his cooldowns. Full repentance here on Zach. Roasties eats 1 Chaos Bolt, low on health. And I mean, at this point, Zach, he still has the Divine Shield. He could make the trade, but the trade was just made way too late. And as a result, FLP will put the first point on the board. And that was a pretty short game. Obviously, they did a really good job with their crowd control. And that's one of the interesting things and one of the strengths about FLP is the Paladin normally plays the Repentance. So you have the Druid spamming out Cyclones. You have the Warlock obviously spamming out Chaos Balls and Fear. And then you have the Paladin spamming out Repentances. And you only have so many interrupts to deal with all that crowd control. And if they do it right, you can fall behind really, really quickly, and they can find these types of setups.
They certainly did. FLP starting out strong here in this series, already up 1-0 now. Best of 5 series as well. Do you feel like this is something they can be able to consistently do, though, heading into game number 2 and 3 as you go?
I think it's going to be hard, but in this game, it was just kind of the perfect storm. They got that low Cyclone onto Roasties, and I think that's what really started getting, the wheels spinning for them. So, I don't know. I want to see a little bit more data points here, but they can definitely do more games like this. I mean, this is their primary comp. They're beating a lot of really good teams. Potentially beat, I don't know what method actually ran when they lost to FLP, but I'm guessing that they tried at least one time with the Warrior Mage. So maybe this is really something that FLP, maybe this is a matchup that they thrive in, and that they actually want to be playing against, something that they feel very comfortable in.
Mm-hmm. And you were right as well, Ven. FLP still only has 3 players, and I love when we have these 3-player roster teams. They kind of only have their one composition. It's not something that a lot of other people are playing, and they're able to pull off these awesome victories like these Super Ts. I don't know what it is about teams like this that they're able to make something work that not a lot of people can.
Just cheering for the underdog. It's the underdog story, the dark horse story, the Destro horse.
That works.
I mean, on Hook Point, they got a lot of damage out on the Warrior, and they've got this kind of clean format. I think it's a repeatable formula, which is important. It wasn't like we just randomly killed them and they didn't react. It was calculated, and they were going to repeat it over and over, which is why I think there's a lot more potential for FLP. And perhaps I'm almost maybe surprised to not see comp change, like some sort. I would have thought that a cleave would have done really well into this on a small map. More than the Warrior Mage, but they're going to keep with the Warrior Mage despite that.
Yeah, they certainly are sticking with their guns here. Then
I'm just trying to see what build Roasties was playing. So he was playing the AoE Spell Reflect. He has a solid amount of defense. He's playing Soul Steel Clamps, though. I don't know if I really like that. I think you don't
Wait,
really
as a
get
warrior?
anything, but- Yeah, I feel like you don't really get any value from that. You're constantly moving, never really standing still. So I think that might have been a bit of a mistake from him. But I don't know. If they're going to be constantly swapping to him, he could go for the AoE stun as well if he gets low. That might buy him enough time to actually survive, get Zev off him, maybe break the stun lock combo a little bit. But yeah, definitely interesting. I think Hamsters and Hares is room for improvement in this matchup. Roasties should be a little bit more durable than that. And let's see what FLP does. Looks like they are going to be opening up onto Roasties once again. Dragon's Breath on Zev into a potential Ring of Frost. He gets feared away really quickly there by Nazem, denying that crowd control. And Ron Paul just doing a great job, running around the pillar, looking for Repentance. Can he find it? Fortunately, Floormat is there to deny that initial crowd control. But still, bash on Zach right now. Roasties getting low. And Hamsters and Hares is going to have to make a trade here.
Yeah, let's see what they end up trading here. They're going to use that intimidating shout defensively there. And Ron Paul now in a full Ring of Frost out of that Hammer of Justice. Let's see how is Nazem going to respond. Zeb looking for some Cyclones here. Floormat actually doesn't land that Meteor. No more follow-up CC. Oh, there's a Blinding Light actually. Floormat looking to try to fake out Zev, trying to get some interrupts, or trying to get some more crowd control. And unfortunately for him, he gets interrupted there on his Polymorph. And that was the combustion of Floormat here. And now Zach himself here in a Repentance. Here comes the Chaos Bolts. Let's see, can he find one? Roasties actually gets Cyclone here. Zev, maybe not on the same page there. It looks like Nazem wanted to Chaos Bolt Roasties, but they're going after Floormat instead. And that's going to be the Overwatch Reflect there coming out from Roasties right there. Going to be denying that. And Nazem now using that Gateway and then teleporting back here, getting a little bit of distance between him and the Warrior. And Ron Paul going to be coming out of crowd control once again here. So once again, FLP here looking to get aggressive.
Let's see if they can keep it up. They've got stuns on Zach, stuns on Roasties. They're switching over to the Warrior here, blasting him down. Zach gets a big heal out. Now Ron Paul and a Polymorph. Zev actually the target. A little bit here. Barkskin trades. He's healing up Nazem. Zev is really having to utilize the hybrid role on that Druid. Lots of clones and lots of healing if he's going to sustain his Destruction Warlock throughout these attacks. He gets caught in a double Dragon's Breath, though, for a moment. Jumping back into cat form. Zach is moving towards Ron Paul. Who's going to land their hammer first is the question here. It looks like Zach will land his. Ring of Frost around the corner connects. Zev is tossing out heals. Portal. Nice Ursul's Vortex by Zev here. And using that Wild Charge route. Zev running the Restoration Affinity to try and get some extra assistance for his Warlock, but Roasties does ultimately connect and land a triple Intimidating Shout. Devastating here, but Ron Paul trades, activating that Trinket Sacrifice and denying that advance from Roasties. Now Roasties is stunned up, Zach is stunned up, double Mortal Coil into the full Repentance. Excellent setup by FLP. They've isolated Roasties. They're trying to take him out as we see Zev rotate over for a Cyclone out of the Repentance, gets counterspelled on it. Nice shutdown by Floormat. Zev shuts down Floormat with a Skull Bash, trying to stay on target. If they can keep landing these crowd control chains, I mean, there's no medallion now. Zach needs to get ready. He's actually caught in a full fear, but Spear Bastion out for Roasties, trying to tear into Nazem. Not finding too much damage. Zev switches over to Floormat for a moment, looking for Cyclones. Unfortunately, actually getting feared right before that Cyclone. Cycloning Roasties, just getting control of the DPS and healing in between their crowd control setups. And they're making this Destro Feral look really good.
Yeah, I mean, they normally do. I mean, they just play this composition so much that their crowd control is on point. the burst damage on point as well. And it's difficult because if you're a team playing against this composition, you don't get that much practice unless it's specifically against these 3 players. Ring of Frost on Ron Paul. Roasties uses his combustion, but kind of gets shrugged off there. Nazem, however, still doesn't have his big defensive cooldown for quite some time. Unending Resolve. Format pushing forward for some fireballs, looking for the crowd control. Tries to deny Zev there on that Cyclone. Format now getting interrupted. Very back and forth. Full Repentance does land. Zev now turning his attention over to Roasties. He takes a huge hit of damage. But crowd control breaks on Zach, and that will free him up. And as this game goes on, if Roasties can have enough uptime on Nazem in this matchup, it becomes really difficult for the Destruction Warlock to survive. Warriors right now kind of just rip into the Warlock. And if he doesn't get good backup from Zev and Ron Paul, that's when the game gets absolutely devastating. So I would say FLP kind of on the clock. They really need to find pressure and momentum. They need to get the crowd control. They need to keep Roasties on the back foot. If they can do that, I think they're going to be looking good. But if Roasties goes unchecked for too long, that's when the game gets really unstable.
And we're going to see if Roasties can do that. So far, he's been doing a great job staying on target. He gets fake casted there on his Reflect, and that means Zev is going to be able to land a Cyclone here. Let's see if they can set something up. Zev interrupting Floor Mat there as well on the setup. They're looking for his own Cyclone here, maybe onto Zach. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to find it. Ron Paul, though, finds a Repentance here instead. And Roasties, what is he going to respond with? He uses the Blade Storm, uses the Die by the Sword here, and we are going to be able to survive there on the side of Roasties. And Ron Paul now stuck in a poly. Let's see, can he get more CC here? It doesn't look like it. Ring of Frost gets interrupted, but Intimidating Shout here by Roasties continues to chain. Do they have any more damage, though, to back it up? There's the DR Sheep as well. Nazem in a little bit of trouble here using that. It actually gets reflected there on his Mortal Coil. And nice spell steal there by Floor Mat with that Kleptomania. He gets a Dragon's Breath Sheep now onto Zev here, forcing out a little bit more mana there from Mr. Ron Paul here, making him use his mana to dispel. And Roasties is having great uptime still here onto the Warlock, and finally gets caught up here in a Cyclone. Nazem's going to have a chance here to breathe, but the mana bar of both of these Paladins right now not looking great. Nice teleport here on the Stormbolt actually. Nazem doing some work. Roasties still having troubles connecting here with that Warrior. And Zach actually sitting down for a drink here. He gets one tick before Zev stops him. He gets caught up in a Hammer of Justice. They actually swap onto him. Big damage coming in here. Zach gets a DR War Stomp. They might actually take him down. The sacrifice comes in the nick of time right there. Nice punish there. Zach sneaking away for a drink and then gets the Hammer of Justice War Stomp, almost taking Zev down there with that setup.
They're setting up on Roasties again. Zev running that Kyrian Feral Druid, activating the Kindred Spirits, but Roasties will trade Die by the Sword. Drift Globe Core going to proc on Nazem and Zev here on this Mortal Coil. A little unfortunate there for the Warlock Feral. Now they just Cyclone the Warrior. Switch over to Zach looking for a Cyclone. Gets Counterspelled, but now Counterspell isn't available for Chaos Bolt. Nazem tries to line it up out of the Cyclone. Roasties gets faked out on his Spell Reflect. Nazem is still looking to find it. Ports away. He's going to get a Chaos Bolt off to the side here. Chaos Bolt coming down from downtown onto Roasties. 2 of them in a row. Zach ready. Trades the Medallion Sacrifice. Now Zev getting swapped to. He's on the run, trying to dash away. Gets caught in the Storm Bolt. They could turn this around onto Zev. They're going to pop the Warbreaker. Zev is kiting away with that dash. Roasties can't stay on target. He's going to recover. There's a big opening now. There's not much mana remaining on the side of Hamsters and Hares. Nazem is getting out a ton of Chaos Bolts. He's got Dark Soul available. They can't go onto the Warlock. They're getting pinned down at the pillar. Chaos Bolts are flying in off to the side. Mortal Coil for follow-up, but gets Cycloned, unfortunately. It does deny the Divine Shield, though, so I do like the Cyclone timing, preventing Zach from healing during his Divine Shield. Any crowd control on Zach, I mean, this game is going to be over. Zev's getting bleeds up. Ron Paul moves in, but he actually gets stunned first. As soon as Ron Paul comes out of this, he's likely to turn the table and turn the tide of the fight. Any crowd control onto Zach, and it could be it. There's the stun lock. Roasties is pinned in place, breaking out and going for an intimidating shout. Nazem going to trinket it. When is Nazem going to pull the trigger on this Dark Soul? He's got big damage available, and they're going to just try and kill him outright. Can they take out Roasties with 1 second left on Fear? Roasties recovers. Now Zev on the back foot. He needs to evacuate using the gateway. Roasties leaps after him. Zev line of sights. Not going to be able to keep up with that Feral Druid with Curse of Exhaustion. Really good kiting here. I mean, if I was Nazem's team, I would basically just not press the Dark Soul, just run the Paladin out of mana, keep that as a threat in your back pocket, and win on attrition here. Zach needs to get a drink.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he definitely does. Mana not looking good, almost 20% dampening. But if Roasties can maintain that uptime, like I was talking about, Nazem could also be in a lot of trouble in this match. Double Mortal Coil going out, just spell on Roasties. allowing Roasties to protect himself a little bit with those pummels, with the reflect. A stun now on Roasties. Zach not in any crowd control. Should be able to keep him alive. Floor mat pushing in. Does he get denied on the crowd control? Looking for a Ring of Frost. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to find it. Zev with great crowd control denial there with that Cyclone on floor mat. And Zach's going to be charging in on his Kodo. Just trying to get in a position to keep Nazem alive. And that is the Unending Resolve. So they get the Unending Resolve. Full Polymorph now on Ron Paul. And this is where the game becomes super unstable. Nazem's going to have a really difficult time actually surviving here, using his portal to get away. He has the gateway as well. Triple Blinding Light coming in. Roasties connects onto Nazem. And he's just going to get dropped. There's no crowd control. Sacrifice on the seats. The sacrifice on the seat. Nazem will come back to life.
Oh my God.
He had enough time. So Nazem will be able to survive. But let's see what happens. He gets interrupted on the fear. Ron Paul now really has no cooldowns left. The trinket rotating back up in just 10 seconds. Hamsters and Hares can't believe
Triple
what just
stun.
happened. But that being said, floor mat, he does have the combustion.
No
Big
way.
damage on Roasties. Dive of the sword. He might actually be able to hold on. Zach in a prime position. He can trade out the sacrifices if he needs to. I still feel like this game at this point is still going heavily in favor of Hamsters and Hares, but FLP not making it easy.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see Roasties have changed out of those steel clamps right now. He is playing that Forge Light filter, and that just procced right there with that AoE stun, saving him. So he has a little bit more defense now on that warrior, but that sacrifice on the seed actually still keeping FLP here in the game. Ron Paul forced to use his sacrifice right now as well. Nazem just doing a good job here moving around, but Roasties doesn't mind since that sacrifice is active. The Ron Paul stuck in a poly here, but he's finally going to come out. Zach actually getting a tick because of that Blink Nova by Floormat. Very nicely done here by him. And now Roasty is going to be connecting back onto his target here. And I feel like this sacrifice has been up for quite some time here for the Ron Paul. I could be wrong here, but I think it's bugged from when he sacked the seed, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, Nazem is still running around here, just trying to avoid Roasties as much as possible. He gets a Mortal
Chaos
Coil
Bolt.
going for the Chaos Bolt. He gets one, he gets two Chaos Bolts, and big fear here onto Zach. Zach trinkets out here, uses the wings here. He might get feared again. He needs to be careful. Line of sights it and ducks around the pillar here. Now Roasties here looking to lay waste to Nazem. There's the Storm Bolt. There's the Blinding Light. There's no way they have anything this time around. And yeah, that sacrifice was a little bit of a tooltip bug right there. With still 10 seconds remaining there for the Ron Paul before he could use that. And Hamsters and Hares are going to take the win.
That was a very evenly fought game, which I wasn't expecting. The Feral Destruction, it's not a composition that we see a lot. And the fact that they're taking on such a powerful composition that has sort of like proven how good it is, the Warrior Mage Paladin, is really quite a show, but ultimately falling a bit short here on hook points. Perhaps maps matter more, though, than anything else. A bigger map where Nazem can port a further distance away from the warrior and get more openings could allow them victory, and because they won the Grand, they'll have that as an option. But these are the final moments, and as we pointed out, the UI looks like it is bugged, so Ron Paul does not have Sacrifice currently active. It's likely still on cooldown at this point. They try to go for the kill on Roasties, but they have too many medallions remaining. Roasties has Medallion, Zach has Medallion, Floormat has Medallion, and they can all escape crowd control and trade cooldowns. So they're effectively impenetrable at this point. Nazem would need to survive maybe another minute at least, another minute and a half, but his healer's in crowd control. He trinkets into a Blinding Light, and now their team has no way to escape crowd control, no cooldowns to trade, and Hamsters and Hares just create a checkmate position. So solid play on their part, but it's not going to be their map pick on this third run. So will this work on a bigger map is now going to be their test.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nature of this matchup. Is it feels like FLP early on in the match, they have enough crowd control and they have enough off healing from Zev where they can make it very back and forth. But later on in dampening, where Zev's off healing is not as strong and Ron Paul can't catch up on Nazem nearly as much, that's when Roasties really tears in. So need to go to a map. I don't know what map would really help them out. I feel like the idea for Nazem is he needs to bait Roasties behind a pillar. So I do expect that we go to a map where there is a large pillar that Nazem can kind of use to use his portal, get Roasties behind the pillar, and that's when they can do a stun lock combo and actually try to just take him down. They're going to be going to Ashmane's Fall, so a large map, opting for that. Hamsters and Hares immediately locks in their composition, and you can't really blame them. I feel like this is such a durable, solid composition. I feel like probably has the edge in this particular matchup, but FLP with their 3 players. There's no guesswork, right? So there's no guesswork what they're going to be playing. It's going to be the same thing every single game, and they are going to lock it in. And it's just one of those games. It comes down to little outplays, but FLP, I feel like in the early stages, they really need to try to pull out a head if they want to win this one.
Do you guys feel like this is going to continue to go in this back and forth direction, and we end up on a game number 5 then with this series?
That's what I said right at the beginning. That was my prediction. We're going to a very close game number 5. FLP going to narrowly win, or barely win, and I think it's just the nature of this one. I mean, it was so close in that last game. Game number 1, I would say, wasn't so good for Hamsters and Hares. Maybe they were just warming up a little bit, but I think this is going to be one of those series that is very back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to see here if Ven is correct. We are, like he predicted as well, going to be going to a larger map. It's going to be Ashmane's Fall. And boy, these guys really don't like Empyrean Domain anymore. It's interesting that I feel like it's never being picked anymore over Ashmane's Fall. But we're going to be going to that map, tied up right now, best of 5 as well. Loser dropping down to the lower bracket here. Not a place they want to be. There's some strong teams down there like Method NA. So we're going to see shortly if this continues in the same trend of a back and forth series.
I feel like when you have to play a 10-minute like intense game where you're constantly looking at the monitor and trying to like focus on stuff, Empyrean Domain being so bright is actually more likely to cause you like you're gonna make a mistake, or you're gonna really just like kind of like hurt your eyes and space out. So I don't really blame the teams for not wanting to go to Empyrean Domain when they know the games are going to be this intense and lasting for such a long time.
Yeah, definitely a bright one, but we'll see. The Roasties right now pushing in, trying to get on target, and that really is his goal. Just stay on Nazem as much as he can. Try to find really key spell reflex in the match. If you can reflect a Repentance, a Cyclone, it really can turn momentum in their favor. Nazem portaling away. Double Mortal Coil does come in. Can they find any crowd control? Ron Paul laying down a hammer here on Zach, getting the crowd control they need. Roasties taking a huge hit of damage. Shadow Fury comes in. That's the Ore Mastery from Ron Paul as well, really allowing Nazem a lot of freedom to get off those casts as that Destruction Warlock. I feel like they should just be spam polymorphing him, but they're just going to be going after him. Polymorph on Ron Paul. Combustion gets ripped out there by Floormat. The Zev throwing in Regross, really helping out Ron Paul. Nazem's going to be able to survive without trading out his Unending Resolve and really not using too many defensive cooldowns. I feel like at this point, FLP is still ahead.
I wonder if Roasty's still playing that Reflect Legendary. I kind of want to see him play the Incredible Hulk Legendary that gives him multiple leaps, especially on a big map like this. I think it's going to give him that extra uptime. We saw, I think it was Transsexual use it in Europe, and actually it was super effective against Warlocks. So we'll see if maybe that is an adaptation he's made or is looking to make in the series. Right now, we got a double Mortal Coil coming out here onto Floormat as well as Roasty's. Roasty's going to be cycloned out of that one. Floormat looking like the target right now. Floormat actually going for a Ring of Frost, potentially going to get interrupted here. Now he's going to go for the double School Poly. He gets interrupted by the Spell Lock. Nice coordination there between Zev and Nazem. Nazem still taking a lot of damage though from this Warrior. Roasty's needs to be careful there. Gets Fake Acid on his Reflect. Nazem finally getting picked up to full HP here. Dragon's Breath into the Sheep, gets name stunned now by Zev, so definitely a nightmare getting crowd control here as the mage, looking for the Sheeps, looking for the Ring of Frost, but you're getting spell locked, you're getting feral kicked, stunned. Zach right now is actually in a Repentance into a Cyclone, so Floormat could be in a little bit of trouble, and so could Roasties. Here comes Chaos Bolt, nice Dispel into Counterspell there by Floormat, and there's the Forge Prime Minister as well, coming in, proccing and stunning Zev there for a second. So far, both these paladins just playing on the same pillar here, trying to get ahead, trying to get some crowd control. Right now, it is Zach who's going to have the Hammer of Justice, and Ron Paul is not going to have it, which means Zach and Floormat most likely going to push in here and try to set up another attack here.
Let's see, Zev pulling away, looking like he wants to maybe go for a re-stealth stun. Roasty's Heroic Leap charge, or Heroic Leap intervene to reconnect the Nazem. Gets Mortal Coil away. Ron Paul looks like he is caught in a Repentance here at the moment. Roasty's stunned up. Floormat low on health, but Zach has answers. It looks like they are stabilizing here, and they can pop Avenging Wrath if they need to. Nazem going to use Demonic Gateway. I really like the adaptation from Zev in this matchup to run Restoration Affinity. Realize, he's probably not going to be the target. He's got that automatic Frenzied Regeneration from a Soulbind Conduit, and what it really lets him do is drop Ursul's Vortex. So when his Warlock Nazem uses Portal, you'll often see Zev put Ursul's Vortex on the Warrior. So if the Warrior tries to immediately leap, and then he gets pulled back into the Vortex. This is a nice strategy adaptation, you know, realizing a Warlock is a high priority target. You're not going to get attacked as a Feral Druid, so building your character to help support. There's the Ursul's Vortex and the port, so Roasties can't use Leap yet. He's just slowly walking to try and get back to target. Buys a couple of extra seconds every time that the Warlock uses the portal. And something that even myself, I'm considering when I'm playing with Warlocks, I'm going to have to try out even just as Boomkin, using that Vortex. We see Zach currently locked down in crowd control. Triple setup. Beautiful play here by FLP, trying to power down Floor Mat on that Fire Mage, but Triune Ward Absorb going to be more than enough here for Floor Mat to survive that beautiful setup by FLP. And now actually polymorphing Zev on a Cyclone. Good punish by Floor Mat here. Both Paladins playing far away at the moment. Zev jumping in to try and help out Nazem during that Spirit Bastion, getting a stun clone on the Warrior. Good peel by Zev. Now going back after Floor Mat, and it seems like they are a lot more focused on the Mage here in game number 3.
I don't know how much I mind it. Zev right now, he was looking for a Cyclone on Floor Mat. Now he needs to deny the Polymorph. Beautiful shimmers there by Floor Mat. Lends the full crowd control on Ron Paul. Nazem all by himself. Zev in desperation trying to come back. He gets the Rake stun on Roasties, Interrupt and Fear on Floor Mat, and Nazem might be able to survive, but Ron Paul is just positioned so far away from the portal of Nazem. That can definitely be a scary situation if he's not in position when Nazem is forced to portal away, so definitely have to look out for that positioning. We've got a full combustion available in just 8 seconds here by Floor Mat. He needs to hold on, eats a big Chaos Bolt, but Zach trades his Trinket and Sacrifice in order to keep Floor Mat alive. We're just entering Dampening right now. Man, a relatively even slight advantage here for Zach. This was not the combustion. The Meteor drops down from Floor Mat, not pairing that with the combustion. And Nazem looks like he will be able to potentially escape here. Ron Paul still in crowd control, just line of sighting the best he can. Zach actually just bashing him over the head with a hammer right now, waiting for Roasties to reconnect to his target. They managed to get the War Stomp. Nazem still in some trouble. Ron Paul might have to use his Divine Shield, maybe a Sacrifice at some point here, but the off heel's coming in from Zev. Nazem gets topped off, and it looks like he will be able to hold on. Ron Paul looking for crowd control as they're looking to reverse the pressure here onto Roasties. And they have pressure points, multiple pressure points in this match. Roasties getting low, Floor Mat as well. And FLP, I feel like that's their main adaptation here, as they're going after the Mage as well as the Warrior in this matchup. Let's see if it works out. Nazem forced to portal away, and he's out of line of sight of Ron Paul. He's getting so low. Ron Paul connects to Sacrifice. And that was a really close call there. Ron Paul almost, if he got another crowd control on him, he would have been forced to use the Divine Shield and his Trinket, just because he's so far out of position from that portal from Nazem.
Oh, full rep Landstone to Zach. He's going to use his bubble here right away. Doesn't have his sacrifice here, so he's just going to respect the crowd control. Full sheep here secured onto Ron Paul. Nazem needs to use his teleport. He gets storm bolted. DR Zev's there with the Cyclones, though, backing him up. Nice counterspell there onto Floor Mat as well. The next time Floor Mat lands a poly, he might have combust for it. If I'm Floor Mat right now, I'm just farming fireballs here. They are going to stop the CC chain there, finally out of that Dragon's Breath. And here Floor Mat just needs to fireball the pet fireball, anything you can. Try to get that combustion ready for that next CC chain, and you got yourself a game here in the bag. Zach now in a Cyclone, big damage coming in here onto Roasties. Needs to be careful. There's the Thorns as well onto Nazem, so Roasties can't really attack him. He's going after Zev here instead. Don't really want to attack into Thorns when you're, sub 50% HP. Nice low Cyclone. Chaos Bolts comes crashing in here onto Floor Mat. The Ron Paul sitting down for a drink. Floor Mat shuts it down, looking for the Polymorph. He gets counterspelled at 99% after he blinks, and then he gets kicked here on his Ring of Frost, but Zach is there, and Floor Mat finally securing the Polymorph. Nazem gets the Aura Mastery right before, though, so he can free cast here. Shadow Fury coming in, Fear's coming in. Zev looking for the heals. Can he get a regrowth? He does, and I think they are going to be able to survive from this situation here on the side of FLP. Now it's go time. They're looking for Zach here to get a full Fear into the full Repentance. Full stun onto Roasties. One Chaos Bolt connects. Hammer of Justice on the Trinket. A little bit more CC, and they can just win the game here outright, but the Forge Light Prime Minister comes procking in once again with that stun and saves the day. And we'll see here if they can turn the pressure around here, Sid.
Okay, that definitely is getting a ton of value. Every time Zev goes for a kill on Roasties, he's procking that Drift Globe core and getting stunned. So now with that adaptation, Roasties is not looking like a great target. They're going to try once again in that window. Will they find it? Zach sacrifices, realizing this is a dangerous point to be at. Would rather just trade the cooldown before he can't. I think it was a wise decision. Now Roasties is trying to turn the tide, popping that Warbreaker, Spirit Bastion, a lot of damage onto Nazem, and Ron Paul has to respond with a sacrifice of his own, now at 20% dampening. And this is where the value of the Feral Druid healing goes down, whereas the value of the Intervene redirecting damage does not. So this is going to be more and more favored to Hamsters and Hares as dampening rises. Format continues to farm Combustion. He's got one available. We see Zach in a stun. Are they going to pull the trigger here? Format actually gets Cyclone. He's not going to find any damage. He decides to block out to go for a Polymorph. An aggressive stance by Format to trade an Ice Block. Doesn't even find the Polymorph. Nazem portals away. Cyclones on Roasties. Zev is trying to prevent Roasties from getting back to the Warlock, but Roasties ultimately does land a charge. Perhaps would like to see Nazem stay out of line of sight a little bit longer. The Ron Paul Divine Shields to try and power up and heal through the damage this deep into dampening. Maybe if Zev can keep up the pressure, they could win on mana, but it's still looking dicey for them.
Ooh, I like that Ring of Frost on Zev. Does get dispelled, though. Now Format super vulnerable. 25% dampening. No Ice Block likely for the remainder of the game. And you can see Zach really doesn't have too much mana. Maybe they want to turn their attention to this Fire Mage. Ron Paul now into a full sheep, but Nazem in a lot of trouble. There's no breaks. This could easily be the end of the game. Nazem's going to have to do a great job kiting here. Is there any more crowd control? Full blinding light onto the Ron Paul. Roasties all over Nazem. Forced to trade out that unending resolve in order to survive, and that buys enough time for Ron Paul to connect a big heal with his Avenging Wrath, topping his team off. But now FLP, they really have nothing left. There's about a 30-second window where there's not a single cooldown that they have. If Floormat can reset his Combustion or Roasties can stay on target, I feel like Hamsters and Hares is close to winning this one. But FLP, if they can stall 30 seconds, another 15 seconds, they're going to be looking not too bad in order to survive. Nazem in a Stormbolt. He portals away. Zach all over him with Roasties. Such a close call. Zev trying to back him up. He interrupts Floormat, throwing in a regrowth and denies some of the incoming crowd control. Ring of Frost does land. Still Nazem in a lot of trouble in this situation, but he's got the Dark Soul. They could turn it around here on Floormat. Zach has no mana left in the tank. FLP, they're on the back foot, but they could easily turn this around.
Oh, Zach still has cooldowns to respond with, though. He might need to trade him right now. Counter spell secured onto the Ron Paul. Can they get anything out? The Ron Paul actually looking for Repentance here, trying to get aggressive. Zach ducks around the corner, though. Actually dropping combat right now. Might be looking for a drink here, potentially sitting down. He actually gets a tick or two right there behind the pillar. Roasties all in midfield here, left with the danger of this Destruction Warlock. He gets Cyclone. I think actually Roasties doesn't mind that too much here. Floormat getting caught up in a stun. What is he going to do here? He gets Cyclone onto Zach. Zach immediately triggers out of that one. Zach has his sacrifice. That is it. Now, here we go. Beautiful Ring of Frost coming out here from Floormat. Can they connect onto Nazem? If they can reach Nazem, it's going to be game over here. Do they have any more follow-up CC? Zev is spamming out the heals once again. They get the DR sheep. One more sheep maybe could be enough here. They reflect the Mortal Coil, and that could just be it. That's the seed finally proccing. Do they have anything to protect it? Doesn't look like it. And that is going to be Hamsters and Hares at 39% damp, taking down the Warlock here after such a close fought battle. Both of these paladins completely out of mana here, but it's going to be Zach here with his small drink that he got there with that little bit of a cooldown lead he had as well. It's going to be enough to help him keep his team in the fight and get that win.
Well, now they can win on a small map and a big map, so I feel like I'm feeling more confident for Hamsters and Hares overall on that Warrior Mage Paladin. It really might even just be that one difference, the Soulbind Conduit change. Not running the clamps, really Roasty's getting nothing out of that, and now switching to Drift Globe Core, and almost any time Zev is able to get him low health, he just gets stunned, and he can't finish off the Warrior. So that one change on the build is really enabling Hamsters and Hares a lot more potential in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, we can take a look here at kind of the final moments of the game. Floormat incredibly low, and if you look at this point in dampening, things are actually looking really scary here for Hamsters and Hares, but Floormat, he has a Combustion. Ron Paul, he's got no breaks left, a full Intimidating Shout into a full Ring of Frost. Nazem's on the run, but there's just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Combustion with a Stormbolt is more than enough to close it out at this point in dampening, and unfortunately Zev just can't deny the follow-up crowd control. To add insult to injury, the Mortal Coil gets reflected on Nazem, and at this point Ron Paul does absolutely nothing to do to keep that seed alive, and just consistent pressure, consistent setups from Hamsters and Hares, eventually whittling down Nazem in this match. And that's kind of what happens. I mean, at 35% dampening, things get really unstable here for FLP.
And now we're seeing Hamsters and Hares on match point here. They win this next one. FLP gets sent down to the lower bracket here. Ven, do you want to change your prediction for Game 5? Do you think Hamsters and Hares can win this next game? No?
I'm not
okay.
changing my prediction, okay?
Okay.
Things aren't
All
looking
right.
good right now for FLP, but I'm not going to turn my backs on them, okay? I still think they got a chance to win this one.
Not a turncoat.
All right.
No.
Is that how you say it in English? Turncoat?
I think so. It sounds
else would you
like a
say it?
backstabber or a betrayer.
Traitor, yeah.
Traitor.
In Sweden, we say you turn your coat after the wind. Like wherever the wind goes, that's where your coat goes.
Oh, okay.
That sounds a
sense.
lot more descriptive than turncoat sounds violent. Yours sounds like
Yeah.
you're just going with the wind. It doesn't even sound that bad. Like
No, but that's what it means. Like
Artistic.
whatever the meta is, that's where you're going with. You know, you're just like you don't really have like a firm opinion like that. If FLP are winning, then you're voting for them. If they're losing, then you're voting for whoever's beating them. You know.
We have a,
Is
Turn
that
your
you,
coat
though?
after the
we have a
wind.
similar expression. I'm trying to think.
flavor of the
Trying to
month.
think.
Bottom player.
I guess so. But yeah, anyways, to answer the question, no. Although things
Okay.
are looking good here for Hamsters and Hares, and they're looking better and better each game, still, I believe in the Ron Paul. I believe in the Destro Dream. I think they can do it, but it's not going to be easy. They're going to have to work for it. They're going to have to capitalize on mistakes, and yeah, they're gonna need a bit of a miracle run to close the series out at this point. But we are going to be going to Tigers Peak. Exact same compositions for both of these teams, and yeah, I mean, Hamsters and Hares, they just have to hold on. They get their setups consistently, get a lot of pressure with their combustion and that consistent damage from Roasties, especially in dampening. If they can make it to dampening, I feel like it's looking really good for them. So FLP, they have to play really aggressive in this one if they want to win.
Yep, FLP not looking to get sent home just yet. Let's see if they can turn this run around and tie it up 2-2. But Hamsters and Hares finding themselves on match point heading into game number 4 on Tigers Peak. Let's see what these guys can do.
I really want to see if Roasties is playing the Incredible Hulk Legendary. I think it's amazing against Warlocks. Like the Warlock simply cannot tank you. There's no way he can. So if you always have a heroic leap for when he like gateway ports, well, you win. It's that simple. So let's see if well, their effect is good as well though if they go after floor mat, and obviously you can't really know who the target is going to be here, but if I'm Roasties, I'm feeling confident and I'm going for it. Here's Combustion here, immediately popped by floor mat. There's a Blinding Light onto the Ron Paul, and there's a Heroic Leap coming out from Roasties. He's going to reconnect here, getting a lot of value there, but the Ron Paul, he's going to sneak in a heal. No, actually not going to be enough. The Ron Paul gets actually a heal there from Zev, and it's going to be enough there to finally keep Nozem alive, keep Ron Paul from using too many cooldowns, just the Avenging Wrath. They get a nice Repentance there, and Roasties actually breaks that Repentance by dragging, by intervening to his Paladin and dragging that Infernal on top of the Repentance, because it does AoE damage. It has like an Immolation aura or something like that that just AoEs nearby. So if you have a Warlock Elemental on you like that, you actually can break crowd controls just like Roasties did right there, and that's going to mean that Zach won't need to use his Trinket. Now they have more pressure onto Nozem. Can he get anything onto Ron Paul though? Looks like the Ron Paul is just actually going to be going for more CC here. Look at the snipe out of Repentance, not able to find it. And Nozem getting a Chaos Bolt here onto Roasty. He's actually quite low here. Can he get anything onto Zach is the question. Doesn't look like it. And now Nozem once again here is going to be the punching bag as Roasties does recover. Here's the Spear of Bastion. And Nozem just summoning a gateway here, making it very telegraphed to what he wants to do next when he comes out of these stuns. And there it is. He's gonna gate to his port. So here, if Roasties has the heroic leap, oh there it is. He actually gets it. And he gets a beautiful fear to follow it up, and that means they're going to continue the pressure here, Sid.
Yeah, Roasty's going for Warbreaker. A lot of damage right now on Nozem. Intervene over to floor mat to reflect the Chaos Bolt, but whoa, floor mat, was that an altar? He got hit by 2 Chaos Bolts. I thought that Overwatch Reflect was actually going to kill Nazem by Roasties. And Nazem was getting reflected on a lot of important spells in that last game. If we managed to see some spell reflects and Nether Ward spell steals like we did in Ashamane's Fall, the Destruction Warlock's just going to get nothing done. They use Counterspell and Cyclone. That means there's no Counterspell now for the Healer or the Warlock, so an opportunity for the Ron Paul to get a Repentance or Nazem to try and get a Fear. We see Nazem pushing towards Zac. Zev is on top of Zac, looking to build combo points, maybe go for a stun. Turn Evil used on the Fell Hunter to prevent spell lock, so the Mage can land a Polymorph. That was a nice play between the Paladin and Mage. Nice use of that returned utility as well. Spear Bastion down, big damage. Nether Ward out from Nazem. Floormat looking to try and strip that off, managing to peel away the Nether Ward. Now the Ron Paul getting a lot of redirected damage. That could swap to the Ron Paul. There's no way, right? There's no way he holds on to Divine Shield. 1%. Divine Shield. Big play, shattering throw on the Divine Shield. Nazem's trying to counter pressure with Chaos Bolts on the floor mat, finding a ton of damage, actually proccing the Cauterize and getting sacrificed from Zac. So not all is lost here for FLP. They do still stand a chance.
Well, if you're Ron Paul's cooldowns, all is lost. That's for sure. I mean, he had to get sacrifice. They made a switch with the Blinding Light, so all that redirected sacrifice damage doesn't break on Blinding Light. Got the Hammer of Justice out of that. Beautiful capitalization there by Zac. But like you said, now with no Cauterize, Floormat's going to be feeling a little bit less stable. And I feel like FLP, they just need to turn their attention to this Mage, try to just take him down. Nice Ring of Frost there by Floormat, controlling up Nazem on his portal. We got a Polymorph on Ron Paul as well. Damage here onto Nazem. Roasties on target. Blessing and Protection trades there by Zac. Just a heads-up maneuver to avoid any damage here onto Floormat. Big Meteor is going to land. Nazem in very, very scary range. Reflect there onto the Cyclone as well. Double Mortal Coil. FLP trying to reverse the pressure, but they really need to stabilize, and Floormat just preemptively maneuvering behind the pillar to avoid this fight.
That was a really nice shutdown there on that setup. And now FLP has a chance here to respond. They get a Hammer of Justice onto Zac. 2 Chaos Bolt sneaks in. Floormat knows that he's going to get KO'd if that second Chaos Bolt lands. He's going to respect it and trade out his Ice Cube. And that means that cooldowns are somewhat equalizing here. Nazem, no cooldowns. Floormat, no cooldowns. Zac has no Trinket. Ron Paul has no Trinket. Zac has his Divine Shield. And that's really the big difference here. He has 1 breaker left there for crowd control, but Ron Paul is going to have his Trinket rotating back up very, very shortly. There's the Stormbolt on the Nazem. There's the Blinding Light. There's a Combustion. He doesn't have Trinket for 1 more second. Can they get the kill before that? 2 seconds. 1 second. Trinket. There's the sacrifice onto the Seed. Unbelievable. He Trinket sacks the Seed. That's how close that was. And Nazem is once again going to be able to survive. But look at the Ron Paul. He's getting chopped up with that sacrifice damage. Hammer of Justice coming out. They have a War Stomp. There it is. The Zac War Stomp trademark. And Ron Paul is going to be able to duck around the corner and keep himself alive with that Avenging Wrath. But that was about as close as you can get. Zac actually getting stunned up now on his Divine Favor. He trinkets out of that one. Nazem still in a lot of trouble. Ports away here. Roasty is actually in a root. Beautifully done by Zev. Zev is there now trying to get some heals. He gets 1 regrowth, and that was a huge regrowth right there. That was more like a lay on hands regrowth, and that's going to be enough to keep Nazem alive after such a dicey couple of events right there. And now finally the Ron Paul looking to get some crowd control here with Zev. Can they get a Repentance? Nice Trinket counterspell coming out from Floormat, trying to reverse it here with a Ring of Frost back onto Zev. Can they find a Polymorph onto Ron Paul? Ron Paul looking like he's going to be able to duck around the corner here for a little bit at least. Looking for the Repentance now. Zac actually avoiding that one. And this game is super back and forth. It could be anybody's game here, Sid.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried here for Floormat. No Cauterize, no Ice Block. He's been the target most of this match. Nazem trades Unending Resolve during this time. Will he be able to counter pressure? He needs to get casts off with it. He's not finding them. Intimidating Shout on the whole team. Nice play. Nazem is very far away from his defensive posture, his little Warlock nest. He needs to get back in range. He's trying to stay aggressive, but he's in deep water at the moment with no cooldowns, really. Ron Paul sacrificed again, likely on cooldown as he used it on the pod, and it says it's currently active. Nazem getting stunned up by that Drift Globe core, unable to really find the finishing blow. Zac has 0 mana. Maybe Zev can just carry the game here with damage. He's getting caught in a Ring of Frost, though. Nazem is trying to turn it around with Infernals called in. Zev jumps on Floormat. Zev's going for the solo kill. Not finding enough damage to do so. Zac clutches out a big heal. Nazem now porting and gaining, but Roasties connects. Will it be enough to take him out? He Nether Wards. He gets it stripped off. Zev needs to help support here. Interrupting Floormat, jumping out of form, trying to find Cyclones as well. He's going for the fake cast. Zach's in trouble. The Ron Paul's in trouble. The Ron Paul has to bubble. Will Zach have to bubble? No, Zach holds on to it. Stunned up now into a Repentance, deciding to Divine Shield. Chaos Bolt's flying in onto the Mage. Floormat now gets cycloned at low health. It's so dicey, but the main advantage right now for the Ron Paul is he's actually got substantially more mana at this point in the game. Roasties is getting 1v1 by Nazem. Floormat's getting 1v1 by Zev. Zev denies the drink there, but I think Zach got a tick, and even one tick might be enough. Zev roots Zach to go for a clone. He doesn't find it. Roasties is not winning the 1v1 on the Warlock. Nazem dishing out a ton of damage, managing to restabilize as Zach comes into the fight. 2 Brahms are called into battle. 2 robots punching away at Nazem at this point. It's going to add quite a bit of extra damage to the team if they want to go after him, but it looks like they're defensive. They're just trying to peel for Zach, trying to get a drink, but they're not finding the drink. Zev just needs to load up some bleeds. Nazem portals back. The Ron Paul was looking like he was trying to drink. Roasties is waddling back to the Warlock, trying to reconnect, and we're back in that 1v1 situation. This time around, though, if Roasties doesn't win it, he's going to be in trouble. He's stunned up. 1 Chaos Bolt. Ron Paul hitting him as well with Crusader Strikes. Mortal Coil to follow up. Beautiful setup here between Nazem and the Ron Paul. The Ron Paul tries to clutch out a Repentance. Roasties intercepts it with Intimidating Shout. Zev's in a Ring of Frost. He can't help out the team. Floormat blinks in for a Poly. Nazem blinks away, trying to line of sight, avoiding Roasties. Shape-shifting across the map. Zev is moving forward, trying to get some assistance here for his Paladin.
Drink.
Jumping in on top of Zach, denying the drink. Very important that he doesn't get any mana at this point. Dark Soul available. When are they going to pull the trigger? Doesn't look like they want to here with a stun on Floormat. I don't even know how Zach is managing to still heal at this point. I feel like he's healing with nothing for maybe 3 minutes at this point.
Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine, but we'll see how much longer he can keep this up. Roast is getting swapped. Do they make a swap on Zev? They just delete him. Ron Paul had sacrifice. No! What a crazy fought game by both of these teams. I'm really curious to see what happens to that replay if Ron Paul is just out of range or he's out of line of sight, because he had the cooldowns to trade, and I feel like their team was in such a good spot. Zach completely out of mana. Cooldowns being rotated through as well. That was a great game by both these teams. I really liked Nazem's positioning. I liked when he was kind of just baiting Roasties away. Getting out the damage on him, forcing that kind of 1v1 situation. But at the end of it all, Hamsters and Hares, they find a nice setup on the Feral Druid, really punishing him for kind of overextending and denying those drinks on Zach. And as a result, they will win the series 3-1.